Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the July 18th, 2017 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We're glad you're here. We will begin, as we always do, with an invocation. I'm going to ask you to stand, and Magistrate Bruce Todd will lead us in prayer.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for being able to be in your presence this morning and realizing that you're God and in control. And we realize, Lord, our wisdom and strength comes from you, and we just ask that you give us wisdom today as we take care of the business of the county, and it would be pleasing to you and our community, Lord. And we just thank you for our department heads that work so hard, Lord, to keep this county in good financial shape. Lord, we just ask that you be with the soldiers that are in foreign and domestic land there that are protecting us and keeping us safe, that we can assemble together freely and be free. And we just ask that you would be with us, and we ask these things in your precious holy name. Amen.
Amen. You join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate Warren.
Here.
Magistrate Alexander.
Here.
And Magistrate Todd.
Here.
Thank you. And gentlemen, you have before you the minutes of the July 11, 2017 Fiscal Court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to accept those into the record.
So moved. Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any additions, corrections, or comments? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Thank you. Our first order of business, we have a opening on the Human Relations Commission, and after consulting with leadership of the commission, I'd like to appoint Darlene Marshall-Ware to the commission to serve a term and fill that spot. I'd like a motion to approve that appointment.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Thank you. We have with us today members of the leadership of Kindle, our regional economic development organization, and local chamber of commerce, and I'd like to call up to the podium CEO Tony Riddy.
Thank you, Judge and magistrates, and Sue.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Thank you. You
I
too.
thought maybe the county attorney was going to do he's going to sit down during the pledge for Colin Kaepernick, but that's
No, just jump the gun. It's out of practice. I missed the last meeting. I was out of town, so completely out of practice.
Three things.
Well, we really appreciate you giving us a few minutes to kind of tell you an annual update on Kindle.
Yeah, come with you.
And it's kind of interesting because the Chamber of Commerce side is actually on a January to December fiscal year. But from an economic development standpoint, we run from July 1 through June 30th. So a lot of the information that people want to know about is what is on the economic development side. So we kind of do our annual report now and moving forward. So what I'd first like to do is I'd like to introduce our Vice President of Economic Development, which is no stranger to any of you. That's Donna Crooks. She's going to talk about the economic development side. Whitney Risley is going to talk about the pieces that she's working on, and then I'll finish up with the Chamber of Commerce and kind of future plans. So, thanks.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. How you doing?
As Tony said, he's asked me to give an update on what we're working on the economic development side of Kindle. Currently, we're working about 20 projects. 30% of those are expansions of existing industries. 70% of those are new companies that are looking to move to the area. So we're really excited about some of the projects that we're working on. And as you know, we can't give a lot of details at this point, but when we can, we'll be very happy to share those. Also wanted to give you an update on Hanson's Aluminum. It's the extruder from South Africa that announced last fall that they will be building a 75,000 square foot facility at the Henderson Riverport. Eric Hansen did visit a few weeks ago, and he said that they're on track for a groundbreaking set for sometime this fall, and they want to be operational by late spring of next year. And over the next few years, we're excited about that. Over the next few years, they'll be employing about 90 people, and that is phase one of that project. So again, hopefully there will be more good news coming out of that project in the future. We continue our efforts in marketing our region. Right now, we have several proposed marketing trips. The end of July, in just a week or so, Tony will be attending the Logistics Development Forum, and that includes one-on-one meetings with site selectors that are representing companies that are looking to build in regions. We have 3 Kentucky United consultant events. Kentucky United is a collaborative marketing initiative between the state of Kentucky and the economic developers. We formed to showcase our business advantages to companies and site location consultants. These trips include Indianapolis in August, Chicago in September, and Atlanta in December. So we've got quite a few events planned, marketing trips coming up that we're pretty excited about. Other activities that we've been working on in Henderson County include road improvements to the Ohio Drive. We've been working very closely with the existing industries on Ohio Drive, as well as GRAD, Henderson County Judge Executive, Engineer Hubiak, and city officials, as well as with the EDA. There is a matching grant opportunity that we have. GRAD has prepared a pre-application for, and we're waiting to hear the next steps on that. So that's pretty exciting. I'm sure you all know that Ohio Drive really was never constructed to withstand the amount of truck traffic that it's currently having to deal with. So that's important for those companies that are located on Ohio Drive to get those improvements made. And then 4-Star Industrial Park, we're working with them on a marketing plan. We have ask for proposals for an integrated marketing plan that includes revamping of their website, creating promotional materials, and a social media plan. RFPs have been received, and they will be reviewed at the next 4-Star meeting on August the 1st. I just wanted to say thank you all for your continued support of Kendall. We really appreciate your investment in us, and we're working very hard for Henderson County. So next, I want to invite up Whitney Risley, who will be discussing our existing industry program.
Hello, Whitney Risley. I'm the manager of existing industries and workforce development at Kendall. Just to kind of give you a few highlights, we have been working hard on the Kendall Fame program. And just for your information, the Kendall Fame is a partnership of the regional manufacturers to help train skilled workers at the Henderson Community College in the Advanced Manufacturing Technician program. The Kendall Fame program blends classroom instruction with on-site work experience at the manufacturing facility of the sponsoring company. The student will complete courses at HCC for 2 days a week and work at the sponsoring company for 3 days a week. There are 6 participating employers for the Kendall Fame program this year with 8 sponsorship opportunities. These sponsorship opportunities are available for both internal and external candidates. Interviews have been held for external candidates, and the employers hope to make their selection soon. Classes will begin at HCC on August 21st. I will be scheduling industry visits to conduct interviews to assess how area companies are doing, if they have any opportunities to expand, and to identify any workforce needs. Also, we are working on the wage and benefits survey. Kendall will be conducting this wage and benefits survey to allow the area industries to be more competitive in attracting and retaining employees. Upon completion of this survey, the data will be collected and compiled for the employers to use in their efforts to compare current employee compensation and benefits to other manufacturers in the region. The target release of this survey is the end of this week, with the results being available in October of 2017. And then I will turn it back over to Tony for chamber updates.
Thank you, Whitney. And Donna, thank you so much. As you know, Kindle was formed with the merger of the Northwest Kentucky Forward Economic Development side, as well as the Henderson County Chamber of Commerce side. And so Chuck Stinnett, which many of you know, is the vice president of the Chamber Services side. And this week, he and Donna Warren, our events coordinator for Kindle, are attending the American Chamber of Commerce Executives National Meeting, which happens to be close by in Nashville. And so the idea, as I told them, is that there's so much information that comes through there, of even when you're just sitting around talking to people at the dinner table, that there may be one or two or three items that may work for us here in Henderson. And don't be afraid to drill down, get that information, and let's see if there are some things that we can do to help promote the community through the Chamber of Commerce. So they'll be doing that kind of work. The Chamber side's been very busy. I think this is something last year, for the entire year, we had 23 ribbon cuttings. Now those are either new businesses starting up or somebody having a large anniversary, or they renovated or moved to a new location. We had 23 of them for the entire year. This year, to date, we've had 25. And that leaves us another 6 months, and we'll have the 26th one coming up here at the end of the week as well. So there's a lot of things, as you can see, out on 41. Had a lot of commercial growth out there, and we see that continuing. One that we're really excited about, that we had a hand in, is I think it's the old Office Depot building, will be filled up, and that's a large space that's going to be filled up. And we at Kindle did have a little bit of a hand in making that happen as well. The events that we've done through the Chamber this year have been really quite extraordinary. We had our annual dinner, which many of you were there and saw it, and we were fortunate that Eric Hansen actually made a special trip from South Africa to come here, to be here and be our keynote speaker for that event. In addition to that, we had the new director of the Economic Development Cabinet from the state of Kentucky that was here, and also took part of that as well. We had that at Holy Name. It was very tight, but it worked out pretty well. We really hope that next year we have to find a much larger venue, because we found some key things that we want to try to really make that a special event for Kindle over the year and for the community. Just last Monday night, we had the Kindle Farm to Table dinner event. And if you've not been to that, and this was my first time of being a part of it, it's the farmers market vendors that we pair up with local restaurants, and the local restaurants prepare that local food. And we had over 150 people, which is that's the maximum that we like to have it at 150, so it was a sellout again. This past Friday night, we had a really exciting event that, again, some of you partook in, and that was hosting the first, which will be the first annual Dueling Pianos fundraiser for the Kindle Education Foundation. Now, the Kindle Education Foundation is really a separate organization and separate foundation with a separate board, but it is housed underneath Kindle. So that program, the main program for the Education Foundation, is the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which I know you're familiar with, of getting books to children age 0 to 5, so that the idea is that by the time they reach kindergarten, that they will have had 1,000 books either read to them or in their later years be able to read themselves. And so obviously part of childhood literacy, which is so vitally important. The attendees were very, very contributing that evening. The dueling pianos gentlemen continue to try and raise tips, and all of those tips go to the fundraiser as well. And we were able to raise over $1,300 just in the tip side.
Wow.
That doesn't include the rest of it. They were very good, worked out very well. On July 13th, I know all of you were here for this, and that was the State of the County Luncheon at with the Henderson Rotary Club and the Breakfast Lions Club. We had over 180 people that attended. And Judge, thank you for all the great words that you gave us that day. On the 27th, coming up here, we have the State of the City Luncheon. And so you're all invited to attend. And Mayor Austin will be the keynote speaker and talk about that. And then continue to host the Fourth Friday Luncheons. The Fourth Friday Luncheons is really nothing to do with us. It's more for the business-to-business community. Everyone comes in and attends. We're able to find somebody to sponsor lunch. They have about 3 minutes to do a little elevator speech about themselves and the company they represent, and there's usually about 20 to 25 individuals, so to help people know what's going on in the community. From an advocacy standpoint, the I-69 bridge still is the main advocacy standpoint that we're dealing with through BridgeLink and along with the Southwest Indiana Chamber of Commerce. There's also another part of that called the I-69 Ohio River Crossing Project, which is kind of a subset of BridgeLink. And there is a meeting tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 of the advisory group at Worsham Hall. So if any of you are available, want to come and give some input, that would be great. At 5 p.m. on July 31st in Evansville, and then again August 1st at the Preston Arts Center here in Henderson, the I-69 Ohio River Crossing Consultants will host their latest open house, and they will have renderings of the 5 corridors that are being studied as possible river crossings, and they're going to be seeking input as to which one individuals think is the best one to do that. And so you're encouraged to come out, and they would hope to try and bring that down to 2 or maybe 3, and so come out and give your input into that. And so that's kind of the chamber side of things. And so the one thing what I want to talk about quickly is just kind of some of the initiatives moving forward. There's been a few items that have come to our attention and that we're going to try and help facilitate. And the first of those is what we're calling the Poverty Summit. Coming up, we're trying to hope to put this together so that in the fall, sometime this fall, that we'll be able to bring together all of those stakeholders that have an interest in the poverty potential here in Henderson County, and bring together those individuals to talk about that, discuss it, figure out what we can do to change that. And so to start that, we're having a meeting tomorrow of what I call the Poverty Focus Group. and it's just a small group of individuals that have content that they can explain to the rest of the group. Because number one, the first thing we have to determine is it a problem? Is poverty an issue? Is it one that needs to be addressed? And then that poverty summit will help us bring all the stakeholders together to figure out the best way to address that poverty issue. The second area is in housing. We have had several calls into the office, and I know Magistrate Warren is very intimately involved in a lot of this as well, is that we need to have more housing starts in the community. There are other communities around that maybe have more housing starts. How do we get back into that? And so we're going to try to put together a focus group again, bring in some home builders, and bring in the lenders, bring in some real estate attorneys, because as you know, there are a lot of moving parts within that as to why we're not building homes. The number one piece is, do we have the individuals that want to buy a home and can afford to buy a home? What would that price point maybe be that would fit that whole area? And so, again, it's the same thing. Bring in the stakeholders. Let's figure out, is it a problem? If it is a problem, well, how do we address this problem and take it on as we go? And then the final piece, which is really the crux of what we have moving forward, and that's workforce and education. Again, using that same theory of stakeholder engagement. We have a really interesting situation here in Henderson County and in the Kendall region that I think is something we're going to be using as a selling point as to why companies need to locate here. And that is that from the statistics we've been able to pull, approximately 60% of the graduating seniors within the Kendall, four-county Kendall region want to stay in their county. They don't, some of them have military aspirations, some have community college aspirations, but out of those 60%, they want to stay local. That means that when Donna and I are out selling companies, we can tell them we can provide you with a sustainable workforce. We all know with the retirements that are happening, you have to have people to be able to retain them. So what that says is that we have the workforce available. We need to make sure that when they graduate at 12th grade, that they know what their pathway. If they want to go on to a 4-year college, we encourage that strongly. But here are a whole lot of other pathways for you to go into the workforce and be meaningful taxpayers, which those are the ones that are going to be our taxpayers because they want to be here. And so we're really looking forward to that part of it. That'll happen probably in the next month or two. So any of you that have interest in that area of workforce and education, please let me know because we would love to have you. So taking a little more time than I'd hoped to, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thought of interest is you mentioned the Office Depot space. If I'm not mistaken, that's going to be occupied by a Columbia Sportswear employee store, which will be initially available, merchandise available to employees, family, and their friends. So it's loosely defined as employee store. I think you can make a friend at Columbia pretty easily and get access to that store. And I wouldn't be surprised if eventually it doesn't become just a public store available to everybody to buy. You know, it's kind of an outlet store situation. Even more importantly to me, they're going to hire 25 people, if I understand that correctly, to help man the store. So that's great, and it also fills a big box on the 41 strip, which is nice too. Can you give me an update quickly on custom resins expansion, where that stands?
The last time I spoke with them, they are continuing to move forward on the project. They did hit a few bumps in the road that they weren't anticipating. There was some concerns about the footprint of what they anticipated their expansion to look like. I think that at one time there was like a military operation there that may have left some land that they couldn't build upon. So
it was a brownfield or something like that?
Yes, yeah, it was or more of a contaminated situation. So the last time I spoke with them, they were looking at reconfiguring the footprint of their expansion so that they could avoid building in that area.
I guess because it's adjacent to the old petrochemical plant that was used during World War II. Is that right?
That's I'm not sure.
Hydrogen plant.
Yeah, it was used for some sort of military manufacturing. I'm not sure what it was.
Ammunition.
Yeah.
Wasn't it an ammunition?
Well, it was hydrogen used for
Yeah.
ammunition, for bombs.
Yeah.
But they're moving forward as far as you know?
Yes.
Slowly
yes.
but surely?
Yes. The last time I spoke with the plant manager, he said they're continuing to move forward. They've just got to work out some of those details.
I also read in a recent current press article, I thought this was interesting. They just had an Israeli plastics plant locate in Evansville. And the story was about that company's decision to locate there. And I thought it kind of encapsulated pretty quickly, pretty easily, the reasons why 99% of companies choose a spot. They talked about the availability of appropriate labor, people who knew their business or were available to work and had a good reputation for work. They identified Evansville as a place that they could make money in because of its location, its logistics advantages, and its location. So labor, location, and the incentive packages that Indiana put together to help them get started. So I think in the end, those are the three major factors for every business, no matter what you want to say about any business where it locates. It really gets down to, can they make money there? Do they have the workforce? And what incentives were brought to bear to help them get underway? And I know that Kindle's doing everything it can to make sure that those factors are available and well explained to companies that are looking at our region. And of course, obviously, getting them familiar with our region is the first order of business, but after that, it gets down to those three things. Would you agree, and as we move forward, that's what we're working on?
You know, it used to be that location was the primary reason for a company's decision to locate, but what we're finding is that as workforce becomes tighter all across the United States, not just in this region, workforce is becoming one of the major issues, and that's one of the reasons that Tony has decided that we need to really focus our efforts on that workforce development and do a strategy, create a strategy that will address that.
Oh, and there was a fourth factor, a building, space.
Yeah,
either available
buildings.
land or space or building, depending on what they need. Mm-hmm. It's always nice to have things like spec buildings, hard to do, obviously, but I just thought it was interesting and kind of really narrowed down and laid bare the basic factors involved, and I know that that's on your mind every day.
Absolutely.
So, any other questions of Donna or Tony or Whitney? Thank you, and you can come back more than once a year, obviously. We'd love to see you every quarter if you can. Thank you again for all you do. Next in your packet, gentlemen, we have a resolution regarding policies and regulations for our parks. And we have enough parks now and enough activity that both our Parks Director, Mitzi Weber, and others felt it's time to codify some regulations. So she put these together, and I will let her comment on them briefly.
I started them, but Steve was a big help in getting us where we needed to be to make sure things were worded correctly before we put them in print and share them with the public. We definitely needed some rules to be posted in the parks to give some parameters on what can and cannot be done in our public parks.
And as you'll notice, there's some thou shalls and thou shall nots, but also it deals with the process of how to reserve the parks and the park facilities, and that is something that really needed to be clarified to the public and open and transparent, where everybody understood what the deal was with each of those things, because Mitzi was having a lot of people not really understanding it very well, and by being able to publish and post these, I think it's going to make her life a little easier and make the public's ability to use the parks, it's going to enhance that, make it even better.
I had one thought. All the rules that were put in the draft that's in front of you made a lot of sense to me. Very very simple. The 90-day requirement on requesting for a permanent event, reservation of permanent. Any thought at all that is it's a long lead time? Is there any flexibility there in your mind, or do you think we have to keep
There
it?
has been some flexibility in the past. That was initially put in place before I came to be.
Yeah.
It does take them some time to turn it in for us to look at it, see if there are questions that need to be answered, get information back and forth. A lot of them, simple things, recycle containers. I might get it, it might have don't know, and they'll write don't know on there, and I'm able to go back and say, if you want these containers provided at your event, let me know. I can coordinate with Nancy. She puts the date on her calendar, make sure things get delivered. So there's a lot of back and forth with some bigger events. If it's a small 50-person event, that's a little easier. When you're starting to get into a fair activity or a rodeo or something like that, then we need to be able to make sure that we have everything ready, because it's a lot of people coming into our fairgrounds at one time, so we want to make sure that we're doing it right, doing it safe, contacting the sheriff's office. They're really good about doing traffic control for us, so there is a little bit of logistics that has to go on.
Also fair to say that a little bit of flexibility, if in your mind it could
Yes.
be
And we have done that in the past, where a foundation has come forward and said, we want to have a small fundraiser at your facility, and we'll send it to them, and we'll work as quickly as we can to get everything in order. It's not that we don't want someone to go, ooh, we had this 90-day mark, so now we can't do it. They can still come to us, and if at all possible, we're definitely going to work with them to try to get them in if the date is open.
Any other questions of Mitzi on these policies and regulations?
I would note on that timeline, for certain large events, under our large events ordinance, there are timelines specifically in that ordinance that are somewhat rigid. So it's the medium to smaller size events that there might be some discretion in there if they have, if they're able to get everything together quickly.
Not to, I just was looking at this, not to nitpick, but under vehicles, and more particularly, we're talking about bike riding and walking trails under section 4. It says vehicles are not and permitted, of course. And then under A, it says no private cars, trucks, or motorized vehicles. Would we not want to make sure that that includes, so people understand, four-wheelers or something? I mean, some four-wheelers are big enough now that you would almost classify them as a vehicle, but I don't think we would want four-wheelers on the walking path.
I think when Steve and I went over that, we kind of felt like that fell under motorized vehicle, anything that...
It says no ATVs.
It says no
Yeah,
ATV.
no
there.
ATV, UTV,
Oh, okay.
trail bikes, or other off-road
Okay,
motorized
all right.
vehicles.
See, I
are
didn't read the
permitted
rest
in
of that
parks.
sentence. Okay, gotcha.
And we did have an issue with that early last week. We did have to contact the sheriff's office because we had some people out there on crotch rocket motorcycles running up and down the walking trail.
Charles just asked about golf carts. I think they'd fall under motorized
Off-road,
vehicles.
other off-road motorized vehicles would catch that, wouldn't it?
I would hope so.
I hope so.
Any other thoughts?
If we had trouble with people gambling out there, it says no gambling. I mean, I'm like, where'd it come from?
It has to be on there with Fair Board, for example. If they have a raffle, they have a permit, that's considered gambling. From what I understand, I'm not an expert gambler.
We don't want to be unintentionally allowing unlicensed gambling that could
we had
get
a
the
problem
county in some trouble.
gambling.
Well,
They're not banking
and we don't
dice.
want to either.
They're not They're banking rolling dice
Oh,
on the picnic table. tables. There you go.
I wanted them to have bingo at the fair myself.
With a permit, you can.
I think it's
Right.
fun.
It is a permittable thing for a nonprofit.
What about a mouse crawling in a hole? A gamble on that?
Hey, I went to a church where they had a little bingo thing where you stuck little quarters on there, and if you got your bingo, you won a cake. That made me happy.
I do think one of the good things, in all seriousness, for things like gaming and alcohol, and with a permit, with proper permits, our parks are available for a lot of activities.
Yes.
That's the key. Getting permits ahead of time and contacting the Parks Department to see what permits are required, and you probably even help people go in the right general direction to get those permits. So
I know
think
that
that's
last
the main
year
thing.
the fair board had a beer garden at the fair, and there is a process to that, and
Yeah.
it does take some time. Rodney with Rookies was great about helping everyone maneuver through the channels that needed to be.
Well, I think this set of rules and regulations is much needed, and I appreciate your work and appreciate Attorney Gold's work on it too. So, any other questions?
Steve, they're pretty much boilerplate, just
Well, I mean, they were tailored specifically to the needs of Henderson County. I will say that compared to, say, the city regulations for parks, it does fit on one page, even though it's small print. It's and the cities are a little more regulated than ours. So it didn't just come straight off the shelf. Mitzi worked on these for
Tweaked it.
months and months. So she is to be commended for all the work that she did on this.
Thank you.
And as our park services grow and develop, this document can grow and develop too,
Yes.
or be adjusted as we experience how people are going to be wanting to use our parks.
And we have done that. Steve has met with me several times since last fall because we've had things change in a short amount of time. So we've definitely adjusted just in the last few months.
The list of rules had to grow as people kept coming up with new, not so great things to do at the park.
Yes.
Any other questions of Mitzi? We have a resolution I'd like to have read, and then we'll see if you have support for this list of rules.
Whereas the Henderson County Parks and Programs Department now oversees multiple county-owned parks, whereas there is a need for uniform rules and regulations regarding the use of and reservation of said parks, whereas the Henderson County Parks and Programs Director has drafted and recommended the attached rules and regulations for adoption by the Henderson Fiscal Court, whereas after review of the rules and regulations, the Henderson County Fiscal Court deems it to be in the best interest of the citizens of Henderson County to accept the recommendations of the Henderson County Parks and Programs Director and approve the rules and regulations. Now therefore be it resolved by the Fiscal Court of County of Henderson as follows, that the Henderson County Fiscal Court hereby adopts the attached document entitled County Parks, Playgrounds, recreational facilities are governed by the following rules and regulations as the applicable rules and regulations governing the use and reservation of the parks.
Can I get a motion to approve?
so move.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other further comment? Please take a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Plittman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Thank you, Mitzi. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good work. In your packets is a resolution regarding the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet's acceptance of the Martin Road project into its 80-20 program to help us complete that, and it requires a resolution of fiscal court. And I'll have the clerk read the resolution. This is a project I think you're familiar with. We've been talking about it the last several meetings, and it's moving forward.
Resolution adopting and approving the execution of a rural secondary road program agreement between the Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid, and accepting all roads and streets referred to therein as being a part of the county road system. Be it resolved by the Fiscal Court that the Fiscal Court here does certify that all roads and streets referred to in said agreement are county roads as defined in KRS 178.0101B, and the fiscal court does hereby ratify and adopt all statements, representations, warranties, covenants, and agreements contained in said agreement, and does hereby accept said agreement, and by such acceptance agrees to all the terms and conditions therein stated. The county judge executive of the county is hereby authorized and directed to sign said agreement as set forth on behalf of the fiscal court of Henderson County, and the county clerk of Henderson County is hereby authorized and directed to certify thereto.
Yeah, and this is the Martin Road Bridge Project, the 80-20 program that we're participating in. The 20% is budgeted in the road department's budget, and this is a part of the formality of moving this forward. So unless you have any questions of Engineer Hubiak, I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Again, any other questions? Please take a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Thank you. We have with us Angie Hagedorn from Humane Society, who will be offering her regular report.
Morning, County Judge, Magistrates, and Madam Clerk.
Morning.
Have you guys had an opportunity to review the reports that were sent in for the end of the year? Do you have any questions?
I think we talked about earlier, it was could be classified as kind of a rough financial year. You want to talk a little bit about that and plans moving forward?
Yes, I can. As you noticed that we had a significant loss last year as far as for animal control. The Humane Society absorbed those losses. So as the executive director, I'm in charge of animal control and I'm in charge of the Humane Society. So I have to come in and evaluate and make sure that the Humane Society recovers from absorbing the losses and that animal control continues to go in a progressive movement forward. So some of the things that we have established, we have reevaluated schedules. We've eliminated some full-time positions and made them part-time. We have reevaluated the schedules as far as making sure that we have no overtime other than for what the animal control officers have to do during non-scheduled hours, their emergency calls. We have streamlined inventory so that we can better monitor our inventory and better monitor how we spend our money. And we have adjusted our adoption fees to reflect what the new rates are for getting them spayed and neutered, because we only our adoption fees only cover what the expense that we put into the animal. So that covers a microchip, their spay and neuter, their first round of shots, their first round of warmer. So we have done those things to streamline. Also, I have been aggressively pursuing grants and other opportunities, and we have, the board has made a commitment to increase their fundraising and increase their ability to get out in the community and to solicit donations so that the Humane Society can recoup those where we had to absorb for animal control. Do you have any,
And do you feel like on the money that the county and city give to you to handle animal control, that you can have an effective program?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Whenever we developed the budget, I worked very closely with the treasurer of our board, and and as a committee, we came up with a very doable and solid budget that that my staff knows and the board knows that I'm fully committed to following, and that is how we are going to move forward.
I appreciate your hard work.
Thank you. Also, can I share some numbers? For our yearly total, we took in 1,342 animals. 736 were cats. 556 were dogs. We took in 1 chicken, 3 guinea pigs, 2 pigs, 23 rabbits, and 4 rats. So and that's how our grand total came up. As far as euthanasia rates, we had a 16% euthanasia rate for cats, and for dogs we had 11% euthanasia rate, which is extraordinary. That is an exceptional rate. So overall, our overall euthanasia rate for the shelter is less than 15%. So we have been working aggressively with getting animals out to rescue and making sure they get adopted. So I did want to say that last Thursday I had a renewed sense of direction and focus. The State of the County address was so inspiring. To hear what you guys have done gave me renewed focus to make sure that I do the same for the shelter.
Good to hear.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions of Angie?
And we took care of the dog. You're welcome.
I will say, for people who follow my social media posts, I had an unusual visitor to our house yesterday morning, a 2-foot-tall rooster in our front yard that just appeared out of nowhere and woke up, did a good job of waking up our household. And I thought to myself that I'm sure we live in a neighborhood that has some farms ringing it. I'm sure it got loose from one of those and eventually would find its way back. But if I was wondering who I should call in that regard, I guess it is still you.
Yes, it is us.
Even for a rooster. Yeah,
Even for a rooster. We take care of all domestic and livestock animals.
Gotcha.
We just don't take care of wildlife.
Okay.
So, yep. And I'm glad you didn't call me because I've tried to wrangle a rooster before, and they are very difficult.
I made the mistake of actually throwing out some Quaker oats just to, try to help it out and hope it wouldn't be there when I got home. And I was also afraid I just made a friend for life and I would probably be taking care of it forever. But thankfully, I think he on his way home. But I was wondering what should you do in that situation
Yes.
where it's not either a dog or a cat?
You would call us, and we would come up with some solutions to get that taken care of.
Now I know. Good deal.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Angie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'd like to call up Renise Abner for the county clerk's report, please.
I have payments to the treasurer for the month of June 2017. I have excess fees for the month of $93,965.31, and the total amount for June is $126,804.25. And that is the excess fees are up from June of 2016 about $45,000. So that's a huge bump, and it was across the board. We just had a lot of people, we took in more money, so.
Just waiting till the last second in some cases,
I guess.
Any questions of Renisa? A motion to approve her report?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putnam.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
Thank you. You also have in your packets the sheriff's report, and after a period of review, David Crafton is with us in case you have any questions, but after a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to accept the sheriff's report, and this is for the calendar year 17.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putnam.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Mr. Gold, your report, please.
All right. I believe last week, Mr. Evans turned over our normal payments to you, reimbursements, jail fees collected, things like that. This week, I have our once-a-year KRS 514.040 payment. The enabling statute that allowed us to run a bad check program says that at the end of every fiscal year, we are to turn over whatever has not been used for salaries, paper, laser toner, stuff like that, over to the fiscal court. And the balance at the end of June 2017 was $592.80. I am handing that amount over now, also with a resolution that is what you've passed in the past, and I would respectfully request you to consider again to turn that $592.80 back over so I can make payroll.
Do you want us to read this resolution, Mr. Gold?
I would love for that motion to be read, moved, and approved.
I will give it to the fiscal court clerk to read.
Whereas the Henderson County Attorney operates a bad check division pursuant to KRS 514.040, whereas the bad check division collects restitutions for victims of crimes, whereas KRS 514.040 requires that any excess fees held by the county attorney on June 30th of each year shall be turned over to the county treasurer before the end of the next fiscal year for use by the fiscal court of the county, whereas the county attorney bad check division account balance as of June 30th, 2017 was $592.80, whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court deems it in the best interest of the public to return said sum to the Henderson County Attorney Bad Check Division for use in administration of the County Attorney's Office. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Fiscal Court of Henderson County, Kentucky as follows. Number one, the Henderson County Fiscal Court hereby accepts the sum of $592.80 in excess fees from the Henderson County Attorney pursuant to KRS 514.040. Number two, the Henderson County Fiscal Court further directs the Henderson County Treasurer to issue a check to the Henderson County Attorney Bad Check Division in the amount of $592.80.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson?
Aye.
Magistrate Putman?
Aye.
Magistrate Warren?
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander?
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
So, Mr. Gold, we are happy to turn back your $592.
Thank you very
So
much.
make payroll.
Process as
Make somebody
quickly
happy.
as possible. Don't spend it all in one place.
Cheap labor.
I'd like to call up Jailer Amy Brady, who has in our packets her quarterly report, and if she'd like to comment at all about any of that, the great things going on at the jail and with the expansion and other items, I'd welcome her comments.
Morning.
Morning.
Well, they're bringing in the first load of corn this morning, so getting ready to start shucking.
Start what?
Shucking.
Okay.
Shucking. S-H. Okay, now I'm at loss for words. That never happens.
Amy thought that's funny.
The quarterly report. Y'all have any questions on that?
Mm-hmm.
Amy, on the last page, on D, it says that vegetable processing building. Any plans? What are you thinking?
We don't have anything right now, and they're currently processing outside, and they're making do with what they have, but in this heat, they're using turkey fryers to boil the water to blanch the vegetables before they seal them up. It's hot. Those guys are hot. With the heat index.
I'll pick a little more. Is there anything in the works, or you got anything?
We have nothing in the works. I'm trying to get the kitchen done first.
Other than the need?
Get the kitchen done
Well, I was going to
first.
say, would the new facility maybe
Would
accommodate
that
some of
accommodate that? That was my next question.
I doubt it. They're over 30,000 pounds of
Yeah,
corn so
yeah.
far this year coming in. And we've got that great big walk-in deep freeze that we purchased from an auction in Indiana. It's about half full already of stuff that's been blanched and sealed.
It just kind of jumped out at me when I was looking at it.
We need to accept this quarterly report. Let me do this real quick, Amy. Unless you have any other questions, I'll entertain a motion to accept the quarterly report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. I guess I should defer to members of the jail committee before we vote. Any other comments or questions or any updates you want to give?
Nelson, we're good.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please take a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
Any further updates you want to give on the construction project?
We have a construction meeting tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. at the jail. It's behind schedule, which is normal. They are hoping to get the doors set, frame set, and get ready to start putting the precast for the roof.
Any concern about being slightly behind schedule? I know many projects this size rarely stay strictly on schedule. But
Just storage of equipment, the kitchen equipment's starting to come in. We're kind of putting it everywhere we can possibly and get it in a secure location now with the weather.
we also say I'd speak for you in saying we appreciate the city's consideration in modifying their smoking ordinance to accommodate very important needs of our detention center when it comes to very specific type of e-cigarette that you provide inmates for sale and that help fund other programs at the jail. So they're going to take a second vote on that, if I'm not mistaken, very shortly. And thank you for representing the county at that meeting. I notice we have, you mentioned this before, we have a declaration of surplus equipment on the agenda. Do you have that a written statement?
I emailed it to Sue just a little bit ago. Kurt sent it to me. As far as the letter, I just sent it over.
When did you send it?
Laura's out. She just
Oh, okay.
had a wedding.
Okay.
Since we don't have it in front of us, we may have to wait one meeting.
That's fine.
Okay.
The van's not going anywhere.
Okay, all right, good deal. We'll wait one meeting to declare it in writing per regulation, but we will get that done. Any other questions for Jailer Brady? Keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you want to drop that rooster off, you can come to my house as long as you don't tell my husband.
Thankfully, I have not seen the rooster again. With that, I'll bring up Treasurer Brenda Ryder to update us on this month's claims.
These are your bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day expense line items should be at approximately 8%. Let me point out a couple of things in your claims list. Since it is a new fiscal year, you will see payments to KCO All Lines Fund and KCO's Workers' Comp. What this represents for each of these is half of the annual premium. Half of each one of these are paid in the month of July, and the remaining half will be distributed over the next 3 months, August, September, and October, between the three funds of General, Road, and Jail. Also, one other thing to look at, you'll see a few of your line items are at or near 100%. Those line items are more or less annual dues, which are paid annually one time a year, and that pretty much will complete all or at least most of that line item. Additional claims from the general fund, the amount of $3,147.90 to Dale Marketing. This is for the Network Technology Department for computer hard drives. From the jail fund, in the amount of $1,818.44. This is to DETS, and this is for electrical work, moving some conduit at the jail. Also from the jail fund in the amount of $755.66, Verizon Wireless, and this is the monthly cell phone bill for the detention center. One last claim for the jail fund in the amount of $2,757.30 to Fossey and Associates. This is for billing number 7 for architectural services for the kitchen contract. You will notice that in your claims there is a payment already made to them, and that represents billing number 6. They kind of caught up with each other right there.
Any other questions or comments on claims? Entertain a motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other comment? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
Magistrate Pittman.
Aye.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Alexander.
Aye.
And Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Just one more thing. As you're going through and reviewing your report each month, in your appropriations, please remember that in the general fund, there's $1.9 million, which represents the 911 project, and in the jail fund, in the appropriations, there's $2.1 million, which represents the jail kitchen project, and those will eventually go away as those projects are completed. But that's something that you haven't seen previously. That is a new state auditor's law requirement.
Thank you. And I know Brenda is feverishly bringing 2016-17 to a close. All the little details to close out that year. You should have a copy of the final financial report for the 2016-17 fiscal year. If you don't, you'd like to see one, just ask her, and she will get you a copy. The news
It
was
will
good.
be provided shortly. I'm still waiting on giving DLG a few days for approval.
Yeah. But again, thank you for your hard work, and we're off and running in the new fiscal year.
Thank you.
If any members of the audience would like to address the court, we'd like to hear your comments for the good of the county. Madison.
You're probably going to ask me if I got to 30 yet, and I'm going to say no, I have not. But I just had a birthday back last Friday.
Well, happy birthday.
Got more than I bargained for, but I ended up getting more than I wanted. But if y'all haven't heard by now, I have switched music providers. Going over to Evansville Music Academy over North Royal Road. And
So you'll eventually put out another CD.
I'll eventually put out another CD, but it'll probably be next year, 2018, before that happens.
We look forward to that. I know
Well,
every time you
thank
do
you.
that, it benefits a charity of some sort, and we look
He's
forward to
raised like $5,000.
I raised
That's good.
$5,000 the last one I did, and
Total.
but 2018 will probably be the next one that comes out.
Thank you.
That's it.
that. Good deal. Thank you. Mitzi?
Good morning again.
Morning.
We got a lot of good press last week regarding the bridge out at Sandy Lee Watkins Park, so I just wanted to come back up and say how proud we are of how it turned out. I contacted Doug White with the Gleaner and sent him the information. He did a very nice article for us, which resulted in contacts from Local 7 contacted us, so we met them out at the park, talked to them about the bridge and how it came to be. And before we could even leave the park, we had another call from Channel 14. So they did another article. Maysville, the Ledger, which apparently reports in Augusta, Kentucky, contacted us. They did another article on how the bridge turned out since it was relocated from their community. So it's just a neat little story that we were able to bring a piece of history into our park. So just wanted to share that again. Also wanted to share our AgriPark dream that we are slowly working on. This is one of our old tractors from the county garage, and it had seen its last leg. So in true Bill Hubiak fashion, if you give him a dream, he can usually make it happen. So we gave him a dream, and he created a piece of playground equipment out of our tractor. It is not finished yet, but the kids are already enjoying it at the pony pool this last Saturday. So we should have that completed by the end of tomorrow. So if you haven't had a chance to come and see it, it's a really neat thing that we were able to do with the tractor. And we have other things in mind that we would definitely like to see happen.
So there are going to be some additional little pieces thrown into that little display there, the AgriPark?
We hope so. We hope that we get some donations brought in and we're able to repurpose some things. We've seen some neat ideas with corn cribs and combines and other ideas that we can do with tractors.
So the members of the fiscal court who have connections in that regard,
I have
George and
already,
Charles, Bruce,
spoke with one of them possibly.
please send folks Mitzi's way. Good use of it. That the bridge project was very interesting. The story that Doug White wrote was quite entertaining, in that I guess it's called a bowstring bridge. Learning about that was very cool, and the fact that we were able to repurpose it, recycle it, bring it to our community, and make it available for use for our folks, not only as a way to cross a creek, but also as preserving a bit of history, was really neat. So
Yes.
Good job.
I had a phone call last week after the article went in. Sarah Stewart contacted me, and a friend of hers contacted her, and she wrote a blog about her experience going out there and seeing the bridge and what she thought about it. So hopefully there's more to come of that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anybody else who'd like to say anything else for the good of the county? Thank you. Magistrate Putman, anything?
Thank you, Judge. Glad to see our county attorney after his adventure. Planes, trains, and other things. I have to snicker because I was looking at some social media, and I felt sorry for you, Steve. But it's good that you're here today.
It's good to be back.
I know it's great to be back in Henderson, but all's good in the fourth, Judge. Thank you.
I will say that Eric Hansen took only 2 days to fly from Port Elizabeth, South Africa to Evansville, and it took Steve 3 days from D.C. How that happens, I have no idea, but unbelievable. You both arrived safely, thank goodness. Magistrate Warren.
Things are good. Really have not received many complaints at all, and so that's always good. Mosquitoes seem to be more of an issue right now, but other than that, everything's good.
Magistrate Alexander.
Everything's good. I have no complaints.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Everything's good in 5, thank you.
Magistrate Todd.
I'm fine too, thank you, appreciate it.
Mr. Gold.
Good to be back. Madison, I'm glad the rumors of your retirement were merely that, just rumors. Last time you were here, you said you thought it was a retirement, and I'm glad we got you back in the recording studio. So.
Thank you very much. I do encourage members of Fiscal Court and County, our team, to support Mayor Austin at the State of the City address coming up. Had a good turnout of city folks who were supporting our message and there for us, and we want to return that favor. If you can, please see Sue about organizing RSVPs to that. Our city-county work group is working well together, addressing problems of mutual interest, and one of the things I enjoy about State of the City and State of the County is showing all of Henderson County how we're working together for their good, and as it should be. So very much appreciate that. A lot of good things coming up on the calendar. If you missed the dueling pianos Friday night, Madison, you should have been there. I'm sure you would have been in your element. We had a great time and raised money for a very good cause. Early childhood education and early childhood literacy is important in our entire county. And the Imagination Library program serves more than 1,200 children in our community. As far as I know, it's the largest non-school-based youth program in the county in any fashion. So it was quite a night, and Sue Baker is now the county's representative on that board. So thank you for your service, Sue.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
With that, all is good. Glad you were with us, and we will see you soon, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor can leave.